He needs no introduction, to be honest. He outdressed me tonight. I almost had to go home and redress myself. This is a friend of ours, me and Adam's, Felix Rodriguez.
How are you doing? How you doing?
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
So, Felix can tell you a little bit about what he does, because there's a lot of four-letter words or acronyms that I didn't actually memorize, so I don't want to mess it up. But what I'm excited about is what you have in your hand right there.
So, thank you, Mike. And just want me to start?
Yeah,
Sure.
just.
So this was totally unexpected, but when Adam and Mike had reached out to me about what they're doing with these kids, I've sort of served and committed my life to helping young at-risk youth. And so when they had reached out to me to come and support it, I thought I was coming here to observe, and but they said, no, you're being interviewed. Luckily, I carry a copy of my book everywhere I go. I'm really proud of this book. It's called Dad, Me, and Muhammad Ali. It's a father and son story, and I'll tell you a little bit about why I wrote it. So I grew up in the housing projects in Waterbury, 7 brothers and sisters. My mom is from Puerto Rico. She came here in 1967 from Peñuelas, and my mom barely speaks English, and she'll cuss you out in English, but she doesn't speak English.
Why is that always
So
the case?
it's ironic, but it's funny. So, we grew up 7 brothers and sisters. I'm the youngest of the boys. I got a younger sister, and a lot of hand-me-downs. We grew up poor, products of the welfare environment. My dad left when I was about 5 years old, and so being the youngest of the boys, I always played sports throughout my middle-age years, high school, teenage years. And anytime I did something well, whether it be on the basketball court or on the field, I would always look in the stands hoping to see my dad, but my dad was never there. And so as you grow up and not having a positive male role model in your life, for me it was difficult. I didn't realize, though, at the time that there was much more kids that were in similar situations like me, because you only think about your household as your household. And so not having that father figure in my life, I think, was tough. So at 19 years old, I barely knew how to shave. I'm about to be a father.
Oh.
And so
I barely handled that, and I'm 36. I just found out.
So
a couple
that
months
was
ago.
a shocker, and here I am, 19 years old, about to be a father. And I say one thing, that, my dad, I knew who he was. He would come around periodically, but really it was just about dropping off money and not really spending that quality father and son time. And so with that money, I'll go buy sneakers, I'll buy a coat, or I'll buy candy or whatever junk. But when you get older, you realize that money and material things don't mean nothing. Take me to a baseball game, take me fishing, play catch with me. Those are more important things that I learned as I got older that is crucial to a father-son relationship, or mother-daughter relationship, or family structure relationship. And so what I always say is that while I didn't have my dad in my life, he taught me one very important lesson, and that was what not to be like, right? So I didn't want to be like my dad. When I had my son, before he was even born, when he just in the womb, I made a commitment and a promise that I was going to be a better dad than my dad was to me, that I was going to be engaged in my child's life, that in any sporting activity, recreational activity that I could be at, that I'm going to be there. I'm going to make every effort to be there. And so my son is now 20 years old. He's in the Air Force. And I tell you, I've lived up to my commitment. And so thank you.
Yes, that deserves a round of applause, and I can say you have.
Thank you. And but it's not easy. And I've realized I'll tell you real quickly the story behind this book. But I did significant research, and I realized that in this country we have a significant father absent problem. Like so many males who have kids, and I got a lot of friends who have 4 or 5 kids, and very rarely see them or don't see them at all. And I'm like, how do you do that? Like, I love being with my kids and seeing them happy. I think for me, that's what makes me a proud dad. So Muhammad Ali, right? How many of you know Muhammad Ali? By a round of applause. So
The greatest.
One of the greatest boxers of all time, right? So I'm a huge Muhammad Ali fan. I love Ali. So, you know, when you don't have a father figure, a male positive role model, you look at figures from far away. And Muhammad Ali was that figure for me. And so I read a lot of books about Ali, saw a biography of him, fell in love with Muhammad Ali at the age of 13, read any book that came out about Ali. And so in 2004, there was a book that he wrote with his daughter called The Soul of a Butterfly. And I encourage you guys to read it. The bookstore in Harlem, New York was having a meet and greet. Now, if many of you know Muhammad Ali, he has Parkinson's. So he rarely comes out and does public events. So I called the bookstore and I said, is Muhammad really coming? She said, yeah, we had 200 tickets. We sold out in 10 minutes. Oh. I was like, wow, I really want to see Muhammad. I love Ali. Is there anything you can do? She's like, you know what, Felix, call me 2 weeks before the event. And I'm not kidding, guys. I called every single day for 2 weeks. And she finally,
pest, right?
I was a pest. I was a pest. And so she finally said to me, it was funny because, you know, you just call the store, you think you're speaking to a customer service rep. She finally picks it up. It was like a couple days before the event. She goes, Felix. She already knew my name. Felix, I tell you what, because of your determination, because you don't quit, I'm the co-owner of the store. I'm going to give you my tickets. I'm going to be here anyways. Now, mind you, Muhammad Ali doesn't do public events, very rarely. They were selling these tickets to go to this event. Now, the book was only like $22.95. They were selling these tickets for hundreds of dollars to go meet Ali that people had purchased on eBay and other sites. And so I didn't know how much I was going to pay. So I was like, how much am I going to pay? She says, all you got to do is pay for the price of the book, $22.95. So I was like, wow. I'm like, all right. So I paid it. I'm like, a couple questions. Can I bring my son with me? He was 9 years old at the time. She was like, yeah, that's no problem. I said, is Muhammad going to take any personal photos? She said, there's a line. You'll be able to meet Muhammad, but you can't cross that line, but you can take photos from it. All right, no problem. And then I said, is Ali going to sign anything? She said, no. The book is going to come pre-printed. You'll have the book. It'll be signed, and that'll be your copy. I'm like, all right, no problem. So we're taking a train ride to Harlem the day of the event. My son's first ride on a train to Harlem. And as we pull out of the train station, we're on Lenox Avenue, 125th, and there's this huge billboard, the famous knockout puncher, Muhammad Ali, knocking out Sonny Liston. And I point to my son, Jojo. His name is Felix Jose, but we call him Jojo. I'm like, Jojo, look at Muhammad up on the billboard. And I was like, God aligned it perfectly for us, because here we are. We're on our way to meet Muhammad Ali, and the first thing we see walking down Harlem is this Muhammad Ali billboard. Bam, so it was like meant to be. So we get to the bookstore. There's a line snaked outside the building, barricaded by the New York PD, and we go in, we get our tickets. It was very festive, this line, because I don't know if any of you ever met Muhammad Ali, but there's this amazing aura and this amazing energy when Ali's in the building.
It's kind of like when he's in the boxing ring.
Yeah,
like you just get that vibe
electrifying, absolutely. And there were people in boxing robes, boxing gloves. They were like really into this whole character. And so Muhammad pulls up in an SUV with his entourage. And when he comes out, you would have swore he was running for president, because he came out waving to people, right, kissing babies on the forehead. And once he came out, people were just chanting, Ali. So we all got into the mode and started chanting Ali. And so finally, we're getting close. We got our ticket in hand, and we're almost near the seat where Muhammad and his daughter was sitting. And I'll remind you that a couple of the customer service were saying, Muhammad would not be signing any autographs. Muhammad won't be signing or taking any photos. Right? They were warning folks, right? So we're getting close.
There's no way you let that happen.
Nah, you know.
Something tells me that you might have got something signed.
So we're getting close, and now my son is 9. He's shy. He read a book in school called The 100 People Who Changed the World, and Muhammad was featured in that book. So he knew a little bit about Muhammad Ali as a boxer. But during that train ride, we talk about Muhammad Ali, the humanitarian, the person. And so we're getting close. And I said, Jojo, we're never gonna meet Muhammad Ali ever again. I brought a book with us just in case that we read during the train ride down. I brought a camera with me just in case, we could take photos.
Right. Just in case I didn't want to take no for an answer.
Just in case.
Because that's what type of person I am.
We get close, and I'm like, Jojo, ask him to please sign your book. They kick us
and
out.
You got to use the son.
Of course.
Right? You got to use the kid.
He's the little one.
You're in.
So I said, they kick us out. My son goes up to Muhammad. I said, Muhammad, would you please sign the book? And so Muhammad grabs the book, and he signs it Muhammad Ali.
Whoa.
He turns the page a couple times, and it's a black and white photo of him kissing his mother back when he was much younger. What was Muhammad's original name? Cassius Clay. Now check this out. This was 2004. It's a true story. 2004. Muhammad Ali left that name, Cassius Clay, in 1964. 40 years to that year when we met him. He signed that page, Cassius Clay.
Whoa.
Now, if you guys know Muhammad's story, he would not respond to reporters who would call him Cassius Clay.
Yep.
Because he said that was his slave name.
Correct.
And he would beat up the boxers who would still refuse to call him Muhammad Ali. And he would whoop him in the ring and be like, what's my name? YouTube it. True story. Right?
Yeah.
So here he is,
The greatest of all time.
2004, signing our book, Cassius Clay. Now, don't get me wrong. I was excited, but I was also thinking someone's going to yoke us from behind and kick us out because we done violated the law here.
Twice.
So then he turns the book, right, a few more pages, and now he's into it. Muhammad doesn't really talk. Very small whisper, like a cat whisper, that you got to be real close to understand what he's trying to say. So he really doesn't talk. So he's reminiscing. He's there doing this, just shadow boxing. And then he turns the page again. He signs it a third time, Muhammad Ali. And I'm like, wow, I'm all excited, like a kid in a candy store. My son is, all, a little shy. So then his daughter, Hannah, was next to him and said, Dad, you got that book at home. Wrap it up. You don't look like that no more. She said, you got 200 people online that want to meet you. So finally, Muhammad closed the book. He then waves to my son. Now again, my son is shy, but he waves to my son to come close. So my son gets close to him, and Muhammad bear hugs him. Now, when he bear hugs my son, what do you think I do next?
Snap that photo. Roll tape.
I'm pulling out that camera, and I've captured one of the greatest hugs that you could ever capture.
That is.
Now, this is the illustrated version of the actual photo of my son being bear hugged by the greatest of all time. And so when he was done bear hugging my son, I took that photo, right? So I'm from Waterbury, and I'm not breaking the law, but I'm bending it a little bit. When it came to Muhammad Ali, I had to get the autographs, and we had to get the autographs, and we had to take a photo of that incredible experience. So from that, right, I knew I had to write about it because I wanted that to be ingrained in my son's memory as long as he lived. And so as I started doing research, what I found out was that this was in 2004. I wrote the story in 2 days, but it took me literally like 5 years to complete the book. That's proofreading.
People don't
editing,
actually understand
revising.
how tough it is to do something
Children's book
creative.
is even 10 times harder than adult books.
It's the same thing with these guys out here learning all this equipment. It's very technical. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of time. And then when people watch TV, they go, wow, that was brilliant. And they don't actually realize like all the steps and all that work and all the hours that goes into it.
Absolutely, Mike. I mean, it really is. It was like birthing a baby because for me, when I wrote this story, like I said, I was doing research, and there was, at the time in 2008, there was nearly 25 million father-absent children in this country. Clearly an epidemic, right? And we don't often talk about that. We don't often talk about our kids who are in juvenile programs, often lacking that positive male role model father figure in their lives. And it's a real problem, and it exists today. And so it is programs like this, the establishment, Establish Yourself, folks like Adam, folks like Mike, folks like Steve, for opening up a safe place like this for you folks to come out here and support these kids because they need that. They need that words of encouragement. They need to feel like, listen, I'm a firm believer that your yesterday does not define your today. Your yesterday does not define your tomorrow, right? We make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We're humans. But it is what we do with those mistakes and how we learn from those mistakes and move forward in life. And I tell you, I've been truly blessed with this book and been able to share my story with many folks. Been interviewed many times. Never on the stage. Well, maybe once, but I was ready for it. This was like so unprepared, but it truly is a blessing. So I'm always grateful.
You met him, wrote the book, and then I think you've had a couple encounters with Muhammad since then.
Yeah.
On almost a very friendly level, which for his type of stature, getting access like that is very, very tough.
Yeah, Mike, unbelievable. I mean, like I said, I've been truly blessed. Muhammad and his wife invited me to do a book signing in Louisville, Kentucky. So while I was writing the manuscript, Muhammad's wife, she sent me an email and said, Felix, I heard you're writing a book about Muhammad. We really appreciate you keeping his legacy alive. When the book comes out, make sure you send me a couple copies, and we want to invite you to Louisville. So when the book first came and it was finally published, I sent 2 copies. She responded immediately and said, we want to invite you for a Father's Day weekend up in Louisville. And I was like, great. So we all had it planned out. Something happened with their air conditioning system that they postponed the event. And I was so brokenhearted because I was so looking forward to going to Louisville to share the father and son story during Father's Day with Muhammad Ali.
You can't get them all.
No, I know. So, but patience is a virtue, and good things happen to those who wait. And so I didn't think it was going to happen, but then they called me back. So listen, we got an event in August. We want you to come down in August. So she said to me, I'm not sure Muhammad's going to be there because of his condition. And so, but we're going to be celebrating his 50th anniversary of winning the Olympic gold medal in 1960. So we get to Louisville. I'm doing a book signing for the first. My publisher donated 50 copies, free copies, to the first 50 people who walked through the door. So I'm signing autographs with my son is with me. And, you're real cool and trying to feel like all good, like a celebrity, right? And you see people breaking up the line that you're signing. And I'm like, there's free books, there's a lot left. Why is the line breaking up? I'm like, checking my breath.
Right.
And then I hear, the champ is here.
Uh-oh.
The champ is here. So people were going to Muhammad because they saw him coming through the door. And I had no clue because, I'm the guest celebrity.
Yeah, why is everybody not paying attention
celebrity
to me?
author, right? So I'm signing.
Where's everybody going?
But sure enough, Muhammad walks through the door. And when Muhammad walks through the door, everyone pays attention to him. And rightfully so.
I think President Obama would have trouble competing against
absolutely.
Muhammad Ali walking through the door.
So Lonnie comes up to me, and she goes, Felix. Now, mind you, this is the first time I ever met Lonnie in person. We've communicated via phone, via email. And she gives me this great big hug, like we knew each other for 30 years. Lonnie, Felix, and we hug each other. And she's like, go tell Muhammad about the story. Go show him the book. And so I go sit down next to Muhammad, and Mike is where I was, and I'm like Ali, and he's browsing through the book. And I'm sitting next to him, and I'm saying, Muhammad, you've been a huge inspiration in my life. You mean a lot to me. When I said that, he closed the book, and Muhammad has Parkinson's. So Parkinson's, the symptoms are very shaky, right? And so he reaches out like this to me, and I had goosebumps, literally, and I'm not kidding.
Oh, absolutely.
Goosebumps and watery eyes, because here I am with my hero. He has a copy of my book on his lap, and he reaches out to shake my hand.
He wants to shake your hand.
And so I shake his hand, and filled with emotion. And then I said, Muhammad, because at the time I had a different cover of the book. This is a second printed version, but the original cover had an image of my son. And so I pointed to the cover, and I said, Muhammad, that's my son when he was 9 years old. At the time, now my son was 16. So my son, Muhammad reaches out to shake my son's hand because he was taking photos with the cell phone. And from that experience, has been incredible. They invited me to his 70th birthday party. It was like limited to 300 people. And so a kid from Waterbury, housing projects, poor, to be able to spend time with his hero in Louisville, Kentucky, was
Because you wrote a book,
amazing
because
blessing.
you took the time out,
So,
because you worked hard, because you didn't take no for an answer, because you've established yourself,
right.
you get your dreams.
Yeah,
Dreams
absolutely.
do come true if you
Absolutely.
really work at it, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I tell you what, there is nobody that was better at trash talking than Muhammad Ali.
True.
And that is quite a character to meet. And I just thank you for coming here and sit down and telling
pleasure.
your story.
Thank you for the opportunity, man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.